Hey y'all, it's Paris and I'm back with another video. So today I just wanted to share with you guys that God is separating you. God is separating you suddenly, okay? Prepare to relocate. Before I get into this word, please take this word back to the Lord, okay? Because this word is not for everybody. It may not be your time, it may not be your season. So this word should be a confirmation of what the Lord is already speaking to you about or is about to start speaking to you about, okay? I'm going to be coming from Genesis chapter 13 and Genesis chapter 15. But starting at Genesis chapter 13, starting at verse 6, it says, "But the land could not support both Abram and Lot with all their flocks and herds living so close together. So disputes broke out between the herdsmen of Abram and Lot. At that time, the Canaanites and Perizzites were also living in the land. Finally, Abram said to Lot, 'Let's not allow this conflict to come between us or our herdsmen. After all, we are close relatives. The whole countryside is open to you. Take your choice of any section of the land you want, and we will separate. If you want the land to the left, then I'll take the land to the right. If you prefer the land on the right, I'll take the land on the left.'" So I'm going to stop right there, okay? So if you clicked on this video, you know that the Lord is separating you from a job. The Lord is separating you from a person, a friend, a family member, whatever or whoever, right? And so with that being said, the thing is, God has been allowing conflict to come between the job, to come between the friend, to come between the family member. He's been allowing it because he's making you uncomfortable, because he's getting ready to separate you. He's getting ready to separate you guys. He's getting ready to take you away from that job, right? Or take you away from that specific supervisor. And so with that being said, again, the Lord allows uncomfortableness to get you ready for the shift, okay? Because a lot of you guys may be wondering, like, okay, what's going on? Like, I feel the shift. I realized that things were going good. Why is all the conflict? Why is all the arguments? Why is all the disputes, right? You feel like it's coming out of nowhere, but it's because the time that you had at that job, the time that you had with that friend, the time that you had with that specific particular boss or whatever, the time is up. And the thing is, it's like the Lord is saying, okay, I'm about to do a transition for you. I'm about to relocate you so that both of you guys can grow, so that I can elevate you and promote you, right? And so sometimes the Lord can't promote you because there's some people, there's some things that will end up holding you back, okay? And it's not that these people, these workplaces are bad things, bad people. It's just the fact that you've outgrown them and they've outgrown you. And so with that being said, the Lord is making room. He's trying to make room by separating you so that he can elevate you. A lot of people have been wondering, why has God promised me, certain things and things haven't happened? And the reason why is because you're still in that same environment. The reason why is because you're still around that same person, okay? And so the thing is, if we know anything about the story of Abram and Lot, God did not promise anything God did not allow Abram to experience any of the promises until he had let go of Lot, until they separated. And so what am I telling you? When you separate from that toxic job, when you separate from that environment, when you separate from that person, from that friend, from that family member, the Lord will start revealing to you things that you couldn't see before because of that person, because of that environment, because of that supervisor, because of that family member, because of that friend. All right? There's certain things that you can't see, or there's certain things that God won't reveal to you until something is removed, until somebody is removed, okay? And again, it doesn't mean that these people are bad people. It doesn't mean that, this workplace is specifically bad. It just means that you've outgrown the particular place, or you've outgrown the person, right? You've done all that you can do. They've done all that they can do, right? And so anyways, in the story, you see that Abram says, you take the left. Well, he says, if you take the left, I'll take the right. And if you take the right, I'll take the left. And so he's giving Lot a choice. He's telling him, you know what, wherever you go, it's not going to be a bother to me. Okay, let's do this on a graceful exit. Let's not, make this on bad terms. If you want to go this way, I'll go the opposite way, right? And so here's the thing. The Lord is going to allow whoever this word is for, he's going to allow it to be like a graceful exit. Okay. For some of you guys, this word may not be for you because it may be not so graceful. It may be in a sense of where you're in a toxic place. And so the thing is, it's like you may be released forcefully. Like God may separate you forcefully. And if that is the case, I have another video for that. I made a video a while back called God is separating you suddenly. And the thing is, it was about, God separating you forcefully, right? But this particular separation is not really forcefully. It's just it's like a graceful exit. Okay. You really don't have anything against this job, this person, this family member, whatever. It's just the fact that you've outgrown them, they've outgrown you. And so God is doing something different. God is getting ready to elevate you. If you haven't seen my other video, my recent video, God is getting ready to promote you for whoever this word is for. However, before he promotes you, he has to separate you from people. He has to separate you from things. He has to separate you from environment. Okay, so that he can reveal more to you, because sometimes environments, sometimes people stunt your growth. And so with that being said, the Lord is getting ready to promote you, but he has to separate you before the promotion. Okay, that is the reason why God has it, or that's the reason why it seems like God hasn't been, speaking to you, or that's why it seems like he hasn't been moving. It's because the thing is, he's about to separate you, and it's not something that you have to do, meaning that you're probably wondering like, okay, well, when do I leave this job? When do I leave this person? When do I leave this environment? Like, the Lord will let you know. Okay, he will make it happen to where there's some times where you don't even have to make a move. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm going to give you guys a perfect example of this. So there was a point in time in my life where I used to work for this particular company. And when I worked for this particular company, I remember I had just moved to Texas, and the thing was I was working part-time. I wasn't making a lot of money. And so with that being said, my supervisor knew this. Okay, she knew this information. And so she began to just give to me. The Lord was, leading it upon her heart to just give to me. Sometimes she would like, just give me an envelope, and then I would open up the envelope and it'd be $50 in there. And so she knew that I needed it, but I never asked for it. You know what I'm saying? And so it's just like the Lord was using her. However, what I didn't know until later on, or that, God revealed to me later on, was that the more that the Lord showed me favor at that job, the more that that particular supervisor started to show jealousy. She started to show envy towards me. And so she started doing certain things. She started to trying to sabotage my position, right? And so with that being said, I'm like, Lord, this person has been given to me. This same person has been given to me, yet they're trying to sabotage me. They're trying to sabotage my position. And at the time, I was also up for promotion, right? And so she was trying to sabotage it because of jealousy, because of envy. And so you have to be careful with people like that, because when they're dealing with jealousy and envy, they're willing to do anything to tear you down. They're willing to do anything to make themselves look good and put you down, right? And so with that being said, what I didn't know was that the Lord ended up allowing my supervisor to introduce me to the CFO. So when she introduced me to her, the CFO began to have a liking to me, right? And so keep in mind, my supervisor had told her my situation, had told her that I had just moved by myself. That basically, I was struggling. I'm just gonna be honest. There's some times where the Lord tells you to move, and he provides. However, he will allow you to trust him for the manna. And it's just like, you don't know when your next is going to come. And so that's where I was just trusting God for the next every single day. I was trusting him for my daily bread, right? And so with that being said, the CFO knew my information because of my supervisor. And so she told me in the office one day, she said, hey, she said, your supervisor told me about you and you've been doing really well. We want to promote you. And not only did she say she wanted to promote me, but she promoted me to a leadership position. Not only that, but I went from part-time to full-time. Then, now she wasn't even done. She said to me, she said, do you need any groceries? And y'all, I wanted to cry. I wanted to cry because I needed groceries. Like, I was barely making it. And I was like, yes, I need groceries. And I literally just started crying. I started crying. I'm getting emotional now because I'm remembering what I was going through at the time. But yeah, I was like, I need groceries. So she was like, okay. She was like, we're gonna put you on a food scholarship. And so she was like, you'll be able to get as much as you want whenever you want. And so I was like, thank you, Lord. Then she says, not only that, we're gonna double your salary. And y'all, like, my mouth just dropped. It dropped, right? It dropped because I literally went from being mistreated from my supervisor and working part-time to God using my supervisor to speak about me to the CFO, and then the CFO decides to show me favor, and God uses the CFO to promote me. And so what am I telling you? What am I telling you? I'm telling you that the Lord can work anything out for your good, okay? But it's after the separation. So with that being said, at this particular job, when I got the promotion, guess what? I got a new supervisor. So I was no longer under the supervisor who was trying to sabotage me. And so the Lord had to separate me before I got the elevation. And so that's what I'm telling you. Sometimes you need to be separated from people, separated from different environments, before you get elevated, before you get promoted. Because again, a lot of people know that the Lord has been speaking to them about promotion, speaking to them about elevation. However, the thing is, you haven't been separated yet. And so again, it's nothing that you have to do unless the Lord says, hey, go ahead and move, go ahead and do this. If he hasn't told you to move, or if he hasn't told you to relocate yet, wait on him, okay? Because sometimes the Lord will do it for you, or sometimes he will actually tell you to do the moving, right? And so I hope that has helped somebody so far, right? So if you go to Genesis chapter 15, verse 1, it says, sometime later, the Lord spoke to Abram in a vision and said to him, do not be afraid, Abram, for I will protect you and your reward will be great. And so sometime after Abram had separated from Lot, this is when the Lord has said this to Abram, okay? He said in a vision, do not be afraid, Abram, I will protect you. And so no matter where you go, no matter where you relocate, no matter where the Lord separates you from, whoever he separates you from, the Lord is going to protect you. The Lord is going to protect you. Because going back to my testimony where I was talking about working in that particular company, even though I ended up getting promoted and ended up having another supervisor, I still saw the old supervisor every single day, right? I still saw her every single day. And she would just use anything and any type of reason just to get in the presence of me, right? She would email me, do this and do that. And so I would have to shut that down. And so regardless, the Lord will protect you, because the enemy gets mad when they don't have access to you. The enemy gets mad when they don't have access to you anymore. Okay. And so be prepared for that. Be prepared when the Lord separates you. People are going to get mad. Okay. Jobs are going to get mad. Supervisors are going to get mad. Because they knew that you was a great person. They knew that you was a great friend. They knew that you were a great relative, whatever. Right. And so just be prepared. Be prepared for the Lord to relocate you, whether it's to a new job, whether it's to a new apartment, whether it's to, just having a new friend, just whatever. The Lord is getting ready to really relocate you. I can't even talk, y'all. But the Lord is getting ready to relocate you. But before he does that, he has to separate you, okay? He has to separate you. And so it's funny because the Lord confirmed this word this morning, right? He confirmed this word this morning because I had saw a similar word earlier last week. And I felt like the Lord was tugging at me about that particular word, about separating. And so I was like, all right, Lord. I was like, I don't know if this is for me or not. I was like, I'm just going to ask for confirmation. And so I got my confirmation this morning. My devotion was literally about Abram and Lot separating. And I was like, all right, that's my confirmation. I know for a fact. And then also there's some things that the Lord is allowing to go on in my life right now that is confirming that he's about to separate me. So I just wanted to share that. And again, if you have not watched my other video about God is separating you, hopefully I can tag it in the comments or in the description box. But I have a different video that's titled God is separating you suddenly. And this particular video is mainly for people who have been like really mistreated, okay? Really mistreated. And so the Lord, like I said, he's going to forcefully separate you if you're in that particular situation. The last thing I want to share is that if you know anything about David and Saul, you know that David was put under Saul before he became king. Saul was king first, but David was God's choice. And so the thing is, God allowed David to serve under Saul. And so Saul became jealous of David because of all the qualities that he saw in him. And Saul had an insecurity, right? And so with that being said, Saul became so jealous and envious that he wanted to kill David, okay? He would use opportunities to try and sabotage, to try and kill him, but it never worked out because David was chosen, because David was covered, right? And so with that being said, Saul had a heart for David at one point in time. It wasn't that Saul didn't care for David, but it was because he was dealing with his insecurities that he could not see what God saw in David. And so why am I telling you this? I'm telling you this because there are some times where when God separates you from certain people, it's not because these are bad people. It's not because they don't care. It is because sometimes they're dealing with their own insecurities. Sometimes they're dealing with their own trauma, and they can't see what God has put inside of you. And so because they can't see what God has put inside of you, because they can't appreciate how God made you, the Lord will separate you. He will separate you. He will pull you out. He's like, okay, well, I put this person in your life to allow both of you guys to grow, or to grow the company or whatever. But this person or this environment can't appreciate you. And so with that being said, you've done your part. I need to separate you. Okay. And so that's what happened with David and Saul. David ended up, escaping, running away from Saul. And then eventually, Saul ended up dying. And then, David became king. But it's just like, again, it wasn't that Saul didn't care. It was just he was dealing with his own insecurities. And the thing is, he was also dealing with pride. And so it was a heart posture issue. And so if you're wondering, why is it that, God chooses certain people, and you're like, you know what, this particular person, I know that they sinned. I know that they had sex outside of marriage, but God keeps promoting them. But God keeps doing this. And it could be a heart posture thing. It could be because even though, yes, this person is sinning, because, we're all human, we're going to sin. However, this person, you don't know that they repent for the things they do. They're merciful, right? And they have a good heart, right? And so just like David was he committed adultery. He slept with somebody else's wife, right? However, God still chose him to be king. Why? Because he had a repentant heart, because he didn't have a heart of pride. And so some people are wondering, why isn't God choosing you? Or you're saying to yourself, why isn't God choosing me? And it's because you're looking at other people in a self-righteous way, or in a judgmental, um, criticizing way. And you're thinking, well, I didn't do what they did. I'm not as sinful as them. Why didn't I get that position? Why didn't I? And it's like, you don't even realize you're operating out of pride. You don't even realize you're operating out of self-righteousness. You don't even realize you're being a Pharisee. And so with that being said, watch how you treat people. Watch what you say about people. Watch how you treat people, because however you treat people in one season is going to determine your next season. However you treat people in one season is going to determine your next season. So if you sow unrighteousness, if you sow wrongdoing, guess what? In your next season, don't expect promotion. Why would you expect promotion? Because of what you sowed. So be careful how you treat people. Be careful how you speak on people. Be careful how you speak, how you secretly think about people. Because God sees all, right? So anyways, that's the video. I hope that this video encourages you guys. If you guys would love to sow into my ministry, everything will be in the description box. I thank you guys for the ones who are already supporting me, the ones who are already members, the ones who are already sowing into my ministry, and I don't even know you guys, and I appreciate it so much, because it helps. Okay, it helps so much. Whether it helps on my journey of, you know, like just God restoring me, or it's just helps in general. I appreciate you guys. And so if this word has blessed you, feel free to sow into my ministry. Feel free to like, comment, and share, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye, y'all.